My name is Thomas, and this is how my crazy story go. You know when something just feels off, but you can't explain why? That was my childhood, like trying to complete a puzzle with pieces that didn't belong. Growing up, my brother Ethan and I lived in the same house, but it never felt like we lived the same life. He had space. I had a garage. It started when I was 12 and we moved into a new place. My parents, Linda and Marcus, said I'd get more privacy if I took the garage. At first, I believed them. I figured being the older sibling meant I had to be the mature one. But over time, that privacy felt more like exile. Ethan, 3 years younger, had 2 rooms, one to sleep in and one for his creative space, which my parents referred to in hushed, reverent tones. My space? A converted garage with a shaky desk and a space heater that didn't work half the time. I remember once asking Mom if I could move into one of the extra rooms. I said it casually, trying not to seem ungrateful. "Hudson," she sighed, wiping her hands on a dish towel. "Ethan needs those rooms for his art. He's special. You have your own retreat." It didn't feel like a retreat. It felt like a storage closet with a bed. The house revolved around Ethan, his talents, his moods, his future. They said he had special needs, but it wasn't medical or cognitive. It was more like emotional and vague. No one ever said exactly what it meant, but it seemed to justify everything. He had canvases stacked high and art supplies flowing into both rooms. I wasn't even allowed to bring markers into the garage. Too messy, they said. I did my homework on a wobbly card table under a flickering bulb, while he showcased sketches to guests like he was a prodigy. I tried not to resent him. He didn't choose this. But watching him laugh with friends in our living room while I froze in the garage, yeah, it wore me down. One night, I overheard Mom and Dad talking about Ethan's potential. Dad said, "We need to invest in him now if we want to see him thrive." I stepped into the room and asked, "What about me? Why does he get 2 rooms? I don't even have one." The silence that followed told me everything I needed to know. "You know Ethan has special needs, Hudson," Mom said gently, like I was too dense to understand. "His situation is different." "But I'm still your kid," I muttered. They didn't answer. I learned to stop asking. Years later, I left for college. The day I came back for a visit, nothing had changed. Ethan still ruled the house. He barely looked up from his sketchbook when I walked in. Mom cooked like it was Thanksgiving, humming as if nothing was wrong. "How was your semester?" she asked, all bright and chirpy. "It was fine," I said, setting my bag down. "Oh, you should see what Ethan's been working on. He's been invited to show his work at a gallery." Of course he had. "Great," I said, colder than I meant to. She smiled, missing the sarcasm. Later, I found myself watching Ethan sprawled across the floor, art supplies everywhere, Mom beaming beside him. She never looked at me like that, never had. That moment broke something in me. I packed my bag and left that night. I didn't come back for months. I stayed in the city, got a job, made friends. I created a life where I wasn't just Ethan's shadow. I ignored my parents' texts and only answered when I felt like it. Then came the hurricane. A Category 4 slammed the coast. Our hometown was hit hard. Their house was flooded, furniture ruined. They were stuck with nowhere to go. I got a text from Mom. "Hudson, please. We need your help. Can we stay with you?" Part of me wanted to ignore it, let them figure it out. But I'm not cruel. I invited them. When they arrived, the irony was overwhelming. They looked around my small apartment, clearly uncomfortable. "We don't have much space left," Mom said, glancing toward Ethan, who stood silently beside her. "I've got 1 room," I replied. They looked hopeful. "But," I added, "there's always the garage." Mom blinked. "Garage? You know," I said. "It's quiet, separate from the house. Just enough room for a bed and a little desk. It's perfect, like a retreat." Ethan's face flushed. "You're joking, right?" "Nope." He opened his mouth to protest, but I cut him off. "You spent years with 2 rooms while I lived in the garage. You got attention, praise, support. I got a cold floor and a draft. So, yeah, if you need a place, it's available. Just not the one with heat and Wi-Fi." The silence was delicious. Mom tried to argue. "Hudson, that's not fair." "Neither was my childhood," I snapped. For once, they didn't have a comeback. They ended up taking the garage. Ethan lasted 3 days. Then he called a friend and left. Mom apologized later. Not in a big speech, but in a quiet moment over coffee. "We didn't mean to hurt you," she said. "You just did anyway," I replied. She nodded, eyes watery. "I guess we never saw it from your side." "It was always there," I said. "You just weren't looking." We didn't hug or cry, but she didn't defend herself either. That was enough for now. "I don't hate them. I'm not looking for revenge. I just want to be seen. And for once, I think they finally saw me."